Hi everyone, I'm Isha Thapar. I'm the editor-in-chief of Scientia, and I'm here with Lacey Barnes, the author of The Effects of Photosynthesis and Respiration on Carbon Processing in Small Ponds. And we're going to talk a little bit about her research. So what was the purpose of this research?
The purpose of my research was to basically highlight the importance of small farm ponds in the landscape. And so these ponds are usually like neglected by limnologists in research in regards to the carbon cycle. So we believe that small ponds play a significant role in carbon dynamics.
Awesome. And what was your hypothesis?
So we used the photosynthesis to respiration ratio to determine if each of the three ponds were a carbon source or a carbon sink. So if a pond has a P to R ratio that is less than one, then it's considered a carbon source. And if it has a P to R ratio that's greater than one, then it's considered a carbon sink. And so I used a null hypothesis for my research. So my null hypothesis was that each of the three ponds that we sampled would have a net P to R ratio of 1, which means that they would neither be a source or a sink.
Great. And then what were your findings?
So we basically found that each of the ponds were a carbon source or a carbon sink between the months of September and February. And so I was able to reject the null hypothesis, and it basically showed that these ponds do have a role in carbon dynamics.
Awesome. And then if you could, how would you expand this study in the future?
So in the future, we would do more sampling in future months just to get more data points in order to like solidify the research. And then we would also look into other factors that are within the ponds that can affect like the carbon dynamics of the ponds.
Awesome. And then what was your favorite part of conducting this study?
My favorite part was going out into the field for the first time at the USDA field station in Riesel, Texas, in order to get the samples of the three ponds. And it was my first time in the field, so I got to learn about, how sampling is actually done. And I spent a lot of time with like my fellow lab members, and so we got to learn more about each other in the process, and it was a really fun experience.
Awesome. And then last question, what advice would you give to aspiring student researchers?
So, a piece of advice that I would give to anyone wanting to enter research here at Baylor is to definitely start emailing professors early if you want to eventually join a lab. For me personally, I heard about the research that I was doing when I was at a general meeting for Tri Beta, which is the biology organization here at Baylor, which I highly recommend to join if you're interested in any type of research or like hearing from different researchers at Baylor. And so I listened to the professor speak at the meeting, and then I enjoyed listening to him and like the topic of the research, so I emailed him after, and I just said how interested I was in joining the lab, and I gave like a few different discussion points that he had that I was interested in, and then I eventually like had a meeting with him, and I was able to join the lab. And so I would say like don't be afraid to email professors, or and also like don't be afraid to start early, even as a freshman.
Great. Thank you, Lacey.
Thank you.